Hello guys, this is Ajay and today we'll talk about the asynchronous controller in MVC with the practical demonstration and how to implement it. So guys, we have a very simple HTML page and there are four sections. It's 1, 2 and 3, 4. So each section is calling a method for getting the data. So the data is hello India, US, Australia and UK, right? So for the purpose of this demo, we are having one data for section class, and this class has four properties. One is data section 1, 2, 3 and 4, and similarly we have four methods for setting the each of the property. So we are doing nothing special and we are simply just setting it and returning the result. Okay, let's move to the controller part. So in our controller we are creating an instance of this data for section class, right? And then we are calling method for each of the section. Let's get data for section 1, 2 and 3 and 4, right? I've already shown you the implementation of each of the methods. We are doing nothing special. It's simply setting up the string and then returning it. So guys, since these are independent methods, they are not that like the result of one method is not dependent on other method. To increase the performance of our application, we can use tasks. It's task parallel library. So we can create the task and each task will run a separate method. Now how to create the task? Let's stop the code. Task. It will giving an error. So let's look for the potential fixes. So it is under the namespace using system.threading.task. So we know that the return type of each of the methods will be string. So we simply write the string and then t1 is equal to task dot factory dot start new task which will return string, right? And then we will call the method. So this method we are calling it, will simply copy paste it. Control V, then giving an error. The name get data does not exist. Sorry guys, sorry guys. Data section data section. Sorry about this. Okay, so next we'll simply copy paste it. Control V, 2, 3 and 4. So we have 4 threads. 2, 3 and so we are creating 4 tasks and each task will call method for separate section. Get data for section 2, get data for section 3 and get data for section 4, right? So once we have the data in our T1, T2, T3 and T4, we will next set the properties for each of the data sections. So now how will we do it? T1 dot result. So whatever the result is present in each task, we will allocate to this property. Fine. So guys, let's run it and see that whether it's running or not. The code is compiled. Let's run it. So now all these tasks are running independently. They are not dependent on each other. Okay, so the application ran fine. Let's stop it. So guys, apart from that, we can use this property dot when all. So it means that your control will not pass this line until and unless result of all the task is returned. T3, T4. Okay, to avoid any exception. Okay, so we need to use this thing. It's task dot when all. What it will do, it will accept the ID or IDs of all the tasks which we are currently using it, and it will wait until each and every task is completed. Okay, so guys, let's now move it that why we need to use the asynchronous controllers. But what is the need? Okay, so let's capture the thread on which the request is currently running, like thread. Sorry about it. I think a namespace is missing. Using system.threading is the class. It will use the current thread. It will give us the ID of the current thread, many thread ID. So let's put this ID in a view bag. Initial thread 1 is equal to td01. That's fine. Now let's capture the final thread as well. When our request is processed. Final thread ft. Sorry. So let's run the application and we can see the thread IDs as well. So I'm using viewbag here to get the result of the IDs. It's running. Sorry about my Visual Studio, it's running a bit slow. Oh, okay, the control is here. Let's debug it. So as you can see that this is thread ID, right? I think it's waiting for 2 seconds. Okay, so you can see that our initial thread is 5 and the final thread is also 5. Now guys, this is a problem. The problem is when our application start running, the thread is allocated, like the C# allocated the thread. Okay, that's td01. After that, are all these tasks start processing. So by the time these individual tasks were processing, our initial thread was idle. Okay, so it was doing nothing. It's better that we should release this thread. But in our current scenario, the thread is still there. It is waiting for all these tasks to complete so that it can process the remaining request. Now, how we can release the thread? Okay, so that when this line is reached, a new thread is allocated from the CLR to process the remaining request. So this can be achieved with the help of asynchronous controller. So you have already seen this thing that our initial thread and the final thread was both 5, but when we implement the asynchronous controller, our initial thread ID and the final thread ID were not same. So this will prevent the problem like thread starvation. So let's start Visual Studio for processing it. To implement the asynchronous programming, we need to do 4 things. Number 1 is we need to change this controller type to asynchronous controller. 1. Next, we need to change the return type from action result to task action result. So we are done with the two steps. First is this one, and second is this one. Third, we need to change the return type to the async. So third one is this. And fourth one is we need to use the await keyword. Async keyword and await keyword work in combination. Wait keyword. So guys, that's all we need to do it. Now let's see that how it will impact our threads. Let's process it. Studio is running. It's running okay. You can see our initial thread ID is 5, and after that it starts processing individual tasks. Now all the individual tasks are completed. So let's say it is also 5. Ideally it should not be 5. No problem. It happens sometimes. Because guys, thread allocation is dynamic thing. So there is a possibility that initial thread and the final thread can be same, since I'm running the Visual Studio on my local machine. So let's try to run it once again. So we are lucky this time. It's 7 this time. It's 7 this time. Ideally it should not be same. So guys, in a practical scenarios when like there is a lot of application are running, okay, so in that case this thread will not be same. So thanks for watching this video.